What is the dumbest thing you have ever done in order to be near someone you had a crush on? Story number 1. I taught myself chemistry so I could teach the girl. She knew I liked her and she went from failing to passing. We never did the lessons in person. I taught her online and she agreed to go on a date with me. The day before the date, she canceled on me and I got fired, and then she kept telling me we would soon. It's been a few years since and she still says maybe another time. I'd say I'm not holding my breath for it. Additionally, joined the track team in high school because the girl I liked decided last minute to join. Went from running 0 miles a day to running for 45 minutes straight. Also learned there is a difference between the distance team and the sprinters. She was a sprinter. I was not, so didn't really see her. Also liked a girl who told me that she was into swing dancing. Went for 3 months of lessons before surprising her. She was impressed and she's now been dating my brother the past year. Story number 2. Okay, here's a fun one. When I was a freshman in college, I was planning to head up to a friend in another college a few hours away to visit for a day. Let's call him Steve for this story. Then I found out there was going to be a dorm party at my school that same Saturday and that my crush would be there. Let's call her Mary. I was pretty socially awkward and didn't get invited to many of these affairs, so I decided I would cancel my trip and go to the party so I could be near her. Then the day before the party, my canceled trip, Mary goes, "Hey, I heard you're going out of town tomorrow. Can I hitch a ride? I want to go visit a friend up at the same school." Now suddenly I need to scramble to uncancel with Steve at this other school. Problem is, I can't get a hold of him. Cell phones were just starting to become mandatory. Steve didn't have one yet. Okay, so now I'm driving my crush to another school where I claim I've planned to meet a friend, who I've actually canceled on. When I get up there, I still can't get a hold of Steve. So my crush and her friend, who we should just call John, invite me to hang out. I never get in contact with Steve, despite calling frantically several times throughout the night. Why did I want to leave Mary and John? Because the friend she was visiting was actually some dude she was trying to bang. So in the end, with nowhere else to go, I was planning to sleep in my car and just lie about it, so that I could get the hell out of this increasingly awkward situation, but failed. They invited me to stay on the couch, where I stupidly spent the night, clearly able to hear them having sex. In the end, I learned many valuable life lessons that weekend. Also, too, I probably didn't learn some that I should have, but whatever, it was a while ago now. Story number 3. It was 11th grade, and this beautifully alien-looking boy, named Hank, was in one of my classes. He actually looked like Spock with eyebrows pointing up towards his scalp. I think I was mostly attracted to his muscles and his simple, masculine name. Being in 11th grade, and never having done anything remotely athletic throughout the course of my high school career, I decided to join the track team. Hank just happened to be on the team, and was rather obsessed with hurdles. So obsessed, in fact, that the only thing he would talk about when I nervously engaged in conversation with him was his love for hurdles. So interesting. I did not care, for his abs and Vulcan facade made me horny. Joining the track team sure got me a lot of time with Hank. Viewing him from afar was enough, since he was so dim-witted. I didn't actually want to date him. That would have been embarrassing because everyone knew how Hank was not the sharpest tool in the haystack. Whatever. Also, the fact that he was younger than me didn't help. My friends would never have let it go. I am possibly the least athletic person I have ever met in my life. Joining the track team was like a snail trying to join a pack of cheetahs. A snail whose ankles swell up from the simple act of lightly jogging. And choosing hurdles was like a snail trying to join a pack of hurdling cheetahs. Not good. One fateful day when both of my parents happened to be out of town, the inevitable happened. I was failing on hurdles as per usual. Hank did not notice, for he was too intent on practicing his hurdling form. My foot got caught on the last hurdle, and to my horror, I found my entire body falling on one arm. I heard a small crack and immense pain shot through my body. A stream of expletives poured out of my mouth as I clutched my aching arm. Hank looked on, jaw slack with his usual dimness. Everyone said my arm was not broken, but I knew better. I had to have a neighbor take me to the doctor to get an x-ray. It was broken, all because of my infatuation with a hurdler named Hank. Story number 4. I used to have a crush on this girl from church, and my friends thought it would be a good idea to dress up like trick-or-treaters. It was Halloween and go to her house in costumes, so they could help me ask her out or something. I was insanely shy, but somehow I agreed to go. I wore my Spider-Man costume, and when my friends picked me up, I realized none of them are wearing any costumes and were like, "Oh yeah, we're just going to wear normal clothes and forgot to tell you." Obviously, I try to get out of it, but they end up driving to her house and get me to go up to her door with them, saying she won't know who I am with my Spider-Man mask. When she answers the door, she's having a Halloween slumber party with a bunch of girls, and they all want to know who I am. One of my friends pulls off my mask and confesses my love to her. Turns out, she's not interested at all. Story number 5. I purposefully was late to science class every day for almost a year for the opportunity to wave at the guy I liked. I didn't even know his name. Just called him Random Wave Guy because he waved at me once for no particular reason. And that was the extent of our socialization. I also spent around 15 minutes each morning bullshitting excuses so I could be by the doorway when he walked past to his classroom, so I could get a half-second glimpse. Also, when I found out he was the younger brother of one of my brothers, I just about died from the wrong sensation and the fact that every time my friend had been talking about his younger sibling, it had been him. Later, they moved into a house on the same street I lived on, and the guy started riding my bus. Turns out he was really funny, not just insanely attractive. However, a lot of kids on the bus had this intense loathing of him for the perceived notion that he was gay. He made a lot of self-deprecating gay jokes, though was perfectly straight. I basically made myself the enemy of the entire bus by sticking up for him. Me and my best friend were the only people he could sit by. Long story short, I did a lot for him and made it very clear I liked him, and accepted every invitation from his older brother to his house to be closer to him. Talked to him a lot, but he ended up going out with my best friend, who said she didn't like him but apparently did. Story number 6. Okay. High school, freshman year, there's this girl I really like called Emily. She just moved here from Nevada and she's really shy. We start hanging out a lot and flirting towards the end of the year. One day in June, after school, we're just hanging out. One of the benches near the basketball courts, a few people I know are playing basketball, and for some reason I do not know to this day. I decide that I might impress her with my basketball skills. That's right. I legitimately thought that she'd instantly fall for me as soon as she saw how good I was at basketball. An extremely stupid decision on my part, mainly because I sucked at basketball, and most of these other people were on the basketball team and were much better than me. Brushing aside all risk, I boldly walk up to the court and join in the game immediately. I realize that I'm probably going to make a complete ass of myself and be ridiculed. I'm also new to the school, and one of the other guys, Nathan, was rather of the competitive nature. To my surprise, I actually do quite well, and most of the ridicule is directed to another kid by the name of Jake. Jake is also a freshman, and he's been bullied for most of the beginning of the year, especially by Nathan and company. He recently started hanging around us again, being slightly more popular now than he was at the beginning of the year. During the game, Jake was the butt of the occasional joke or insult from Nathan. Usually he'd just chuckle and mumble a couple of words. About half an hour later, Jake misses a couple shots and Nathan starts taunting him. "What's wrong, Jake? You seem kinda out of it today. Did your girlfriend break up with you or something?" Oh. Wait. This time, however, Jake just looked up and stared at him for a good 10 seconds. Then, out of nowhere, he pulls out a switchblade from his jacket pocket and starts yelling incomprehensible shit. Nathan and everyone else are shouting at him to put the knife away, Emily is screaming, etc. Eventually, the police are called and Jake is taken away, but they release him the next day. I didn't see much of those people again. I ended up dating Emily for a couple months, before realizing she was just a dumb bitch. I didn't see Nathan again. I didn't see Jake either. From what I heard, his parents got scared after the incident and sent him to live with some distant relatives in a suburb of Los Angeles. Story number 7. Once upon a time, I totally had the hots for this girl in my town. She was gorgeous, smart, and not crazy either, which is always a plus. She was kind of nerdy too, so not out of my league by any means. Did I mention the fact that she was insanely, mind-blowingly hot? I mean, seriously. If she were a president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, after I saw her around town a few times, I knew I had to get to know her better. I walk up and introduce myself, but she completely blows me off, luckily for her. I'm not the type to let a little crushing rejection get me down. Now, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I had to do something to win her over. We all do stupid things in the name of love, but this one really took the cake. I threw a little party on her front lawn. I hired a local band and everything. Like that John Cusack movie, only bigger, but was she impressed? No. She just throws me out on my face. I still didn't stop trying after that, but the lawn thing was easily the one of the 3 dumbest things I did for her. Story number 8. This is the craziest shit I ever did. I was absolutely in love with my high school sweetheart. And in grade 11, our last summer together before she moved across the country, I had signed up as a tour guide for canoe trips to young kids up north. 6 hours away, and I only got 1 week off the whole summer. I went up for training and immediately regretted it. The kids were annoying rich shits, and I couldn't bear to be away from my then-girlfriend. Knowing this was our last summer together, there was no way I could get out of this job as I had made a commitment. So after the training, I had a few days back home before I was gone for the whole summer. I took my bike out and rode to a small hospital and called my dad, saying I had a bike accident, broke my wrist and was at the hospital. Could he please pick me up? I faked pain and got the nurse to wrap my wrist up. My dad wanted proof that it was in fact broken and not sprained. We need to take you in to Gettins Ray, he says. I said, let's go to the hospital tomorrow and see how it feels in the morning. It might just be a sprain. I proceeded to go downstairs to my gym and drop a bench press bar loaded with weights on my wrist repeatedly until I broke the fucker. Now I'm in excruciating pain, but slept through it, went to the hospital the next morning, and the Zrays came back a broken, got out of the summer job, had a great summer with the girlfriend, and then she cheated on me. No regrets regardless. That summer in a canoe with little shits would have been a living hell.